You're listening to the Good Food CFO podcast, where we focus on financial strategies for building a profitable food business. I'm your host, Sarah Delavan. Today on the podcast, I am joined by Alexander Johnson. He's the founder of Mixt Solutions, a turnkey solution for brands of all sizes to optimize their Amazon presence. Like many startups, Mixt was founded with just $1,000 in Alexander's basement. And 7 years later, it has been named the fastest growing company in Central Ohio and has made Inc. magazine's list of the top 5,000 most successful companies in America twice. In 2021, Mixt will do over 1 million transactions on Amazon. And today, Alexander is joining me to lay out the costs and the realities of selling on Amazon. He's helping us get clear on the fees associated with selling your products, the benefits of Amazon fulfillment and how to choose the right shipping model for your business, and the target profit margin that you should be shooting for on the marketplace. We're also talking pricing and overall strategy and how businesses like Mixt Solutions can help you succeed on Amazon. We have got a lot to cover, so let's get to it. Alexander, thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on also.
Yeah, I'm so excited in particular because I think probably 99% of the clients that I work with and, food and beverage business owners that I speak to are on Amazon presently, or they are feeling the need to get their product on Amazon. And I think there's a lot to learn and a lot that they don't know. And so it's been on my mind to have a professional, a pro, someone who does, this for a living on the podcast to really break down, what are the costs? How do we maximize the potential of this channel? And sort of what are the profit margins that we should be shooting for? What's realistic for this channel? And the fact that you and I are going to be covering all of that today has got me very, very excited. I hope you feel the same way.
We do it every day, so it's kind of similar stuff to what we see on the day in and day out basis, but definitely happy to see if I can enlighten anybody out there who maybe isn't to that final stage where they're on Amazon and they're really doing numbers with it.
Yeah. So I always like to start, on the ground level and make sure that everybody listening is sort of on a level playing field. So to kick things off, can you break down some of the Amazon terminology for us? I know there's, things like FBA and there are service fees and seller fees. Can you kind of give us a rundown of the need to know terms and what they mean?
Yeah. So first and foremost, there's kind of two ways to be involved in the Amazon landscape. Um, The first is what your enormous corporations are going to do. So your Charmin toilet paper, like they don't have a seller account. What they're going to do is they're going to be on the vendor side of things. So they're just going to be a vendor to Amazon. Some Amazon purchaser goes, well, we want to buy Charmin toilet paper. We know we're going to buy hundreds of millions of dollars of it probably this year. As a note, the best-selling product in health and personal care is always toilet paper. I think it's quilted northern, but so they're going to buy from Charmin directly. So Amazon's going to buy it. They own the inventory, and Amazon will go out and sell it. That's when you see, if you ever look, it says shipped and sold by Amazon. That's exactly what's happening. You're an Amazon vendor. Now, that's a pretty small amount of the Amazon landscape because that's really reserved for really large corporations that Amazon is reaching out to. So what most people do, they do it on the seller side of things. So that's what our business is. We're an Amazon seller. That's what most small retailers who want to get on Amazon, they're going to sign up for a seller central account. And what that means is Amazon doesn't own your product at any point in time. You always own the product, whether you're in FBA or not. You're using Amazon as kind of a host, but you own the product. So a lot of people get confused about that because FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, means that you're shipping product to Amazon, their distribution centers, and then Amazon is moving it on to the eventual customer. A lot of people get confused. Wait, so Amazon owns the inventory? No, I still own the inventory, but Amazon is essentially just our third-party logistics provider there. And it is a little confusing because, Amazon's kind of intertwining themselves in those transactions in different ways, but they're your host and they're your logistics partner. So that's kind of fulfillment by Amazon. And that what that
Okay.
allows people to have is prime eligible products. So what we tell our clients all the time is like if you're not eligible for Prime, you're missing 40 to 50% of the folks because if you shop on Amazon, I know I do. If I can't get it in 2 days, if I have to wait 7, 8, 9 days, like I'm just going to click out and go to something else. So you're going to lose a ton of sales if you're not in that Prime eligibility kind of window.
That's great to know. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, so then you can do fulfillment by merchant, FBM, which would just mean like I ship it from my location to you, the eventual customer. That's a good thing. In the food world, probably a lot of like grocery stores are doing that just because, or small, retailers who maybe have a shop, but they also sell a little bit on Amazon out the back. A lot of people will do that, just fulfill by merchant, just send it directly to the customer. But it's not as efficient because you're taking additional time to pack up each individual order, but also you're losing out on those sales. But a lot of people just don't really want to dive into the Amazon world and start shipping inventory to the fulfillment centers, so they'll just do fulfillment by merchant. Um, so that's kind of your 101 rundown on the Amazon terminology and then how that actually operates when you're selling on Amazon.
That's super helpful. You and I, in a previous conversation, you had mentioned something about a referral fee. Can you tell me when does that referral fee come into play, and what is the amount of that fee generally?
Yeah, so there's kind of two charges to operate on Amazon. First and foremost is the base cost for a professional selling fee. That's just your $40. Whether you sell
Okay.
a million units or you sell 1 unit, or 0 units for that matter, you're going to pay your $39.99 per month. That's
Okay.
just basically like to be on the platform as a professional. Now you actually can have a non-professional account, but you can't do Prime, like you can't edit listings. It's like not even really worth like doing that. It's $40 at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um, so that's just kind of like your permanent cost. Um, Now then you have your variable cost when you actually go to sell an item. So these are going to be based on uh, the fulfillment fee, the referral fee, and then your cost of good. So the referral fee, that's basically what Amazon says, hey, we need to collect a little bit of money off of you because we hosted this transaction and we brought in these millions of customers who get to see your product every day. So we're going to take a little portion of the sale. Typically that's 15%. It goes up, I don't think it goes really up above 15. There are some categories that are below 15%, but generally it's 15%. So if we sell a $30 item, $4.50 is going to come out of that transaction, go straight to Amazon.
Okay.
Then the other additional fees that you're going to have. So if you're doing like fulfillment by merchant, like you have no really additional fees. You've shipped it to the customer. Now you're going to pay the cost of shipping on your own there, but Amazon's not collecting any additional money. Like I said, we tend to want to get every product into fulfillment by Amazon. So then they'll have like a pick and pack ship fee. They kind of bundle all those things together. Now, the beautiful thing about that is Amazon's shipping fees are so low that generally it is cheaper for them to ship the product to the customer than it would be for us to ship the product to the customer.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because I know you're in California, right?
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
in Columbus, Ohio. If we wanted to ship you like a 2 pound item, it would cost us like somewhere between 9.55. It could all the way be up to like $13. That's a ton, especially for us when we're shipping most items below the 34.99 kind of price point. So we can't take a $13 hit on that because then we just went negative on our
Yeah.
margin. Amazon will lock in our fulfillment fee at like $4.75, no matter where you are in the country. And you're going to get it in 2 days as opposed to us, where you might get it in 3, 4, potentially even longer than that, 5 if it goes first class. So you as the customer get a better value because you're getting it in 2 days. We as the seller get a better value because it's cheaper and it's locked in. So there's like tons of value, built up into the Amazon FBA system that a lot of people just don't even realize that little tidbit right there, that wait, my shipping might be cheaper if I'm fulfilling by Amazon. Like, how does that even make sense?
Yeah.
Because you're adding a third party in the middle, but you're saving money.
Yeah. It makes me start to think a little bit about, you know, charging for shipping versus free shipping, and then that takes my mind to pricing a little bit, because there's something I hear from business owners a lot regarding pricing, and that is, can I charge more for pricing on Amazon than I do, for example, on my own website, or than I do for my product when it's on the retail shelf? And I'm curious if you have any thoughts on pricing, and, does it matter if your product is $3 more expensive or something, on Amazon? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we have clients that do everything in terms of pricing, whether that be Amazon being priced higher or being priced lower than their website. Because we experience different people over different industries, and we've kind of seen it all. Like when we really got started, we did a lot of health and wellness, and what was pretty natural, and this was now probably 5, 6 years ago now, what was pretty normal in the health and wellness world, which sounds insane right now, was you would take your website and you would mark your price up all the way to the top. Like maybe it's a $39 protein, but you'd mark it up to 69 on your website.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, what they were trying to do is like deter people from shopping on their website to push them to their brick and mortar retail stores, which it sort of makes sense, but that model has just totally shifted, right? Like,
Yeah.
so now generally the best solution for your product is always to own your customers, right? So you want people to come to your website and purchase. Now, the flip side of that would be, and I say this all the time, is when someone comes and buys from your website, there's nothing that helps the next customer come into the fray. So that is totally true on Amazon, right? Like let's say we have like a shampoo. Like if my search term is like all natural shampoo and I buy your product, the next person that comes along, they're more likely to see your product. So what happens on Amazon is you kind of build up this fire that gets hotter and hotter and hotter. When it's super hot, it's just going to start pulling keywords in. So now it's just shampoo or, non-animal tested shampoo. Everything starts to pull your product into the search result. That's not true on your website. So there's kind of a thought process. Do I build my Amazon? Do I build my website? The solution is usually a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
But people will pay a premium for the convenience of Amazon. There's definitely no doubt about that. So what we have and the way that we structure our deals is we want our clients to be pulling in business on Amazon that is new, right? So like I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to just steal clients from their website. That doesn't value anything for my clients.
Yeah.
So what they'll be like is, well, we trust that you're saying that's not going to happen, Alex, but let's just go up a couple dollars in price. Cool, no problem. And and if there's any beautiful example of people will pay more for convenience, there are hundreds of Amazon sellers that make their living just walking into retail stores, buying the product, putting it on Amazon.
That's
Costco,
fascinating.
you can buy every product that is in the Kirkland catalog from Costco on Amazon right now. Costco does not sell any of that. It's all just people walking in, taking the stuff off the shelf, putting it on Amazon. Obviously, they're marking it up and making that margin.
Yeah. So for a food or beverage business owner who's listening today, I just want to kind of repeat back what I believe I heard you say. And that is that you want to drive people to your own online store or to buy your product in the brick and mortar space. But the way to sort of utilize Amazon is to bring in new customers, right? Because you've got a marketplace essentially with millions of shoppers on it, who, if you're optimizing your product properly, which we'll get into in a few minutes, new people will be finding you, and they're going to be willing to pay a higher price for the convenience of getting your product on Amazon with their toilet paper and with their, shampoo and whatever else they might be buying. And potentially in the future, and I do this, if I see a product on Amazon that's maybe new to me, like shampoo is actually a great example. I'll see that product. Maybe I'll buy it the first time on Amazon, but usually if it's a small business, I'll go to their website. So I almost use Amazon like a search engine and then go to the website and purchase, because I believe, my hope is that there's a bigger margin for that business owner on their own website. At least that's what I think. Am I wrong about that?
Sometimes, I mean, no, I mean, not necessarily. I mean, sometimes you are correct in saying like, well, obviously, as we just talked about, 15% is going straight into the website. value add. So
Yeah.
if you buy on my website, I'm getting an extra 15%. But if it's a $30 product and it costs me $6 more to fulfill that product, well, maybe I didn't make anything extra there.
Yeah.
The value of having people come to your website is that you can pull them into the funnel, right?
Right.
Like now I have your website, or excuse me, your email address, so that I can retarget you, I can remarket, I can create lookalike audiences on Facebook or whatever it is, and find more customers that are like you. But there's companies across the board, they want all sorts of different value adds. Like we have a client that has 60,000, they're in 60,000 stores in the United States.
Hmm.
They do great numbers on Amazon. It's their third biggest, retail channel behind Costco and Walmart, and then it's Amazon. But then after that, they're not really concerned about their website. Like they're doing so much business on Costco and Walmart. They're like, a website? Like what? So that's an interesting example where it's like websites not a huge part. Now then you have the other side of the coin where you have people who are doing almost all of their business on Amazon. And we have clients like that. And they're like, well, we'd love to get more people over to our website, but our customers are so entrenched in Amazon now, and that system's so easy for us to manage, because when you transition to your website, there's a lot additional parts and pieces to manage. You have to manage the fulfillment and email. Now I have to post on social media every day. Now I have to, you know, uh, keep up my website, change banners, things like that, run deals, flash sales, whatever. That's a whole different piece of the business that a lot of people are not great at. So we have clients who really, really focus on Amazon. Then we have clients who started on their website. They don't do almost any retail, and they're like, hey, we're doing a lot on our website. How do we pull over to Amazon?
Right.
So it's just really how you want to mix those three things together. And I say it often, a direct to consumer business has kind of three avenues. You have Amazon, you have your website, and then you have some form of retail. If you can hit all three of those things and they're all running, then you have a pretty mature business at that point in time.
Yeah.
It's just about how do you want to mix those? Is it 33% each, or is it, hey, 50, 20, 25, 30 thing?
Yeah. I love that. And it's going to be unique for every business, right? Based on the product that you offer, based on the team that you have, based on the skill set of the people on your team and how you can optimize each of those channels. I know from a financial perspective, we're looking at things, especially for a young business, of what's our most profitable channel, right? What's going to bring in the money and it's going to help us with cash flow. And then we can expand into additional channels sort of as we go. And then there are some businesses who have investment and they're like, we're going to hit all three, right out of the gate. So I love that you touched on those different strategies for different businesses and the fact that it's going to be different for potentially everybody listening is going to approach this in a slightly different way, which I always think is an important thing to touch on. One of the questions I was going to ask you is sort of when is the right time to get onto Amazon? And I still want to ask that question, even though I think you kind of sort of answered it already a little bit. And the reason I still want to ask it is because I have met business owners whose strategy is to launch on Amazon. And I'm not a marketing expert, right? Like we're very clear about that. I'm a numbers person. I leave the marketing to the marketing experts and the Amazon stuff to the Amazon experts. So do you have any thoughts about maybe not specifically should brands launch on Amazon, but when maybe is the right time to get onto Amazon and maybe when it's not perhaps the right time for a brand? What can we kind of think through to make this decision?
I would say you should utilize Amazon when you have the time to do it right.
Okay.
Because what you'll realize when you are a business owner is the most valuable thing is not your marketing dollars, it's not how many employees you have, it's how much time you have to dedicate to a specific field. So we do business with a ton of people who just got a product, they threw it onto Amazon because they're like, I know we need to be on Amazon. And then it just doesn't do anything. It just sits there, it sells none, it falls way down the rankings, and it's impossible to find essentially. And they're like, well, Amazon doesn't work. And it's like, well, no, that's not the way to think about it. You just didn't work on Amazon.
Right.
So I would say anybody who wants to be on Amazon, I would do it when you're absolutely ready to like put a certain amount of time into it every single day. So if you're not ready to put any time into it, or if you're like, hey, I'm just really good at doing my website and that's doing great right now, it's kind of what's the value add by putting that additional channel in. So we have clients all the time. They're like, well, we want to launch on Walmart.com. And I'm like, okay, I know that sounds like a cool idea, because they have a third-party seller platform now. It's similar to Amazon Seller. I'm like, I think it sounds like a great idea, but we're seeing about 0.8% of our revenue on Walmart right
Mm,
now. And it takes a lot of time. It's very time intensive. So we're going to take, multiple hours of every week to launch on Walmart, and you're going to get maybe about 1 point. 1 point if you do well on there. And
right.
they go, "Oh, okay." I think of it the same way with Amazon, right? Like if you don't want to dedicate a certain amount of time to that project, don't launch it yet. Figure out when you can. Figure out a company that can help you do it. Or figure out like, hey, if I spend 5 hours on my website right now, what's my return versus 5 hours on Amazon right now?
Yeah.
Like what is the return? And if you're like, I don't know anything about Amazon, I have to get in, I have to learn all this stuff, I have to figure out what's Alex talking about, seller fees, what's this? I would say like Amazon's a great place to be, but if you're just doing it to say you're doing it, like what's the point?
Yeah.
If you're going to do it and make an impact on your business, then I would say that's the right time to launch on Amazon.
I think you hit on a really important point. There are sometimes we feel like we need to do something in our business or we need to be somewhere, right? It's like feeling like we need to be on social media, but we're just kind of showing up. We don't really have a
Yeah.
strategy. We don't really have a plan. We aren't necessarily leading anybody, from the photo to the purchase of the product, right? So everything has to be really strategic. And if you've just kind of got Amazon happening, it's not
Mm-hmm.
going to be super worthwhile for you. And that takes me to the next thing I want to talk about. Well, actually, I want to touch on one other thing in terms of when is it the right time. I'm curious if there are any special considerations or like anything kind of extra that business owners who have refrigerated or frozen brands need to think about. Like, can you be successful? Can you work with the Fulfilled by Amazon program if you have a product that's not sort of shelf stable and needs to be refrigerated?
Great question. So, in order to send your product into Amazon fulfillment system, it needs to have 105 days past the shelf life of the product. So
Okay.
if I sell a 30 serving vitamin, you take one a day, Amazon deems that as 30 days worth of usage. So
Okay.
then I need 105 plus the 30 days. So I need 135 days. That would be basically day zero, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to need like at least 12 months. We have some products that are 6 months, but that makes life pretty hard on us because 135 days, that's button up against 6 months right there. So you wouldn't be able to send anything refrigerated at this point in time, or
Okay.
definitely not frozen. If you have like we do like some like little cookies that aren't really like meant to be like they're not individually packaged cookies. It makes life hard, but it's possible. Typically, what you'll see is brands if they're like we have a bakery, like they'll bake the cookies, they get it to us, we refrigerate it so it's cold stored, and then we ship it direct to the customer.
Okay.
So that would be what you would want to do if you have a very perishable product. Now, that always opens up opportunity because there aren't that many people doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So if like you can now compete with like the fresh baked cookies as opposed to like Nabisco packaged, vacuum sealed, good for 2 years, like obviously there's a difference between those two products. So you will have some people who go, "Oh, I want the fresh cookies. These look great. I want these," as opposed to your store bought version. But it definitely makes life harder on you if you don't have like at least a 6 month shelf life. Because again, you're going to fulfill every single unit, and then you're also going to have to potentially pay those additional costs. You also have to manage the customer service. So if
Mm-hmm.
I'm in fulfillment by Amazon, Amazon's automatically managing the customer service for those customers.
Got it.
So if you have a customer who buys your cookie and they don't really know if it has peanut butter in it, they're emailing you now all of a sudden, as opposed to contacting Amazon. And it has some advantages with refunds. You'll probably have a little bit less of a refund problem on your hands, but it won't be that bad really generally. So we want Amazon to manage it absolutely every time if we can.
Okay. That's great information. I had recently heard someone who was curious if they could sell on Amazon in the frozen space. So it's good to know that it's difficult, doable, but the infrastructure looks a little bit different. Now I want to dig into the costs. I love
Mm-hmm.
talking about costs. I love
Yeah.
exposing and like getting very clear on what it costs a business owner to be present in any sales channel for their business. So let's talk a little bit about the costs associated. I know you've got sort of a simple formula that you can kind of spell out for us, and then maybe we can dig into that.
Yeah, so it's kind of like this. The sales price, let's say, our shampoo that we invented, it's $29.99. We'll call it 30 just so I don't need to round out the pennies. Um, then I'm going to have my referral fee, which is 15% of that. So that's $4.50 that's coming out of that. Then I'm going to have my cost of fulfillment. Let's assume that I was selling out of Amazon Prime. So they locked my fee in at $4.75. Now that fee, the fulfillment fee, is going to change based on the weight and based on the dimensions of the product.
Okay.
Makes sense. The heavier it gets, the larger it gets, the higher the fulfillment fees get. If it's, something small like this, it's going to be like $3.
Okay.
If it's, a big 2-gallon shampoo, it could be like 6. But generally, it's going to be quite a bit cheaper than if we were sending it ourselves. That's just the general rule.
Are they going to be transparent with you about what that rate is that they're locking
Yep.
in? Okay.
Yep. So you can actually find those if you just search like Amazon seller rates, you can plug in it and exactly what your product is, and they'll tell you what it's going to be.
Okay.
Or you can even pull, a product that's really similar. If you're like, oh, my shampoo is 755 milliliters, you can just find another shampoo that's the exact same size, plug it in, they'll tell you what it is.
Okay.
And those rates are generally locked. So it's not going to change like week to week.
Okay.
Every once in a while, they actually just hit us with a rate increase. Some of them were not bad. Some were 2 to 3 cents. One or two of their like rate classes was like a quarter. It's like, oh, that's kind of a lot. But it's inflation. It's cost of getting products around the country. That's going up.
Yeah.
So then you have your cost of goods sold. So let's say it takes $10 for us to create our shampoo, package, product, everything. So we've got our $30 sale price minus our $4.50 referral fee minus our $4.75 shipping cost minus $10. So we're left with, a handful of dollars there. And that'd be generally our profit. So that's the profit you're going to make on your unit. Now there's some other little costs associated, like, is there a storage fee? Yes, there's some slight storage fees to have your items sitting in Amazon. Is there a cost for me to ship the product into Amazon? Yes, and you do pay that. So we're going to try to bundle up as many items as we can, ship it at once. An advantage there is you get incredibly cheap rates. You get to use Amazon's rates again. So if you're shipping them like a 50-pound package, it's like $7 or $8. It's kind of crazy sometimes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, if you do pallets, you can get them for like $90 a pallet, which is essentially half the cost of shipping a pallet anywhere else. There's a couple of little knick-knack fees in between, but those are generally your big fees that you're going to see. But on a product basis, we have just, sale price minus referral fee minus fulfillment fee minus your cost of goods sold. That equals your profit.
I love it. And I want to, just kind of drill down into that for a second. And, I've got some clients who are looking at, oh, my sale price on Amazon, is X, and this is my total income. And then I've got my seller fees and my service fees. And when I look at those numbers, I'm pulling in a 30% profit. And it's like, well, hold on. That's your sort of Amazon gross in a sense. You still got to take out, what does it cost to produce that product for you in terms of ingredients and materials? And then you've also got labor, right? That gets factored into the cost. So you want to make sure that there's something left over and that amount is meaningful to you and your business at the end of the day. So I really appreciate that you spelled out that formula.
So, one of the things you asked me about is about, profitability on the channel.
Yeah.
Like, how profitable is it? And this is a big one that I hear people say all the time, is that a 15% referral fee is like crazy. They're like, that's insane. Like, I would never, ever pay that. And the thing that I would say to most people about that is what we've already sort of discussed. First and foremost, you're saving yourself probably quite a bit of money on the cost of shipping. The second is that you are likely going to get more views on your Amazon listing than you'll get traffic to your website for that whole week. That'd be like day to week. I mean, we saw that right when we started. We had a website and we were getting quite a bit of traffic. We would get more views on a listing on Amazon in one day than we would a whole week on our website. So it's just a volume thing. Like they're driving tens of thousands, if not millions of people specifically to your listing. And those people know they're 2 clicks away at any given time from having that product on the way to their house. The third thing I would say about the referral fee is that you only pay that referral fee when you sell the product. So this is like classic advertising, Like if you ask your clients, well, like, what's your cost of customer acquisition? It's like, okay, well, my cost of customer acquisition is $15. And it's like, yeah, but that's because you've spread that out over all the customers you didn't get, right?
Mm-hmm.
You spend $1 a customer who comes and clicks on your site, but then 14 of them don't buy, the 15th one does. Amazon is not like that. Like only when you sell the product do you have that fee pulled out of your cost. So you're going to get tens of thousands of eyes driven to your listing for free, and then only when you actually convert do you get that fee taken out. So that's like not like a paid per click campaign. It's not like a Google ad campaign. It's not like a Facebook campaign where you have to pay for that up front and then hopefully you get some conversions on it.
Yeah.
You're only paying that 15% when the customer has already been acquired. So as long as you run your margins the right way when you get the product in there, you're profitable. You are
Yeah.
guaranteed profitable.
The equation is laid out for you, right? So you know what your shipping costs are going to be if it's being fulfilled by Amazon. You know what the referral rate's going to be. And so you can determine a sale price that makes this a channel that works for you. And I think that's a really important thing, right? Like
Absolutely.
work with the information that you have and use it to your benefit, right? Make a super informed decision so that this channel can work for you and can be profitable, which I think in some cases, business owners don't do because they have that idea in their head that like, I can't really sell it for more on Amazon than what I sell it for on my website. There's a fear around that, or I can only raise my price a few dollars, right? Make it work. Make it work for your business because you have all the information that you need. I wanted to ask about Amazon ads, because I know that wasn't something that was, in the formula that you laid out. And I'm curious if you have thoughts about the advertising, maybe its effectiveness or like how those charges can add up. And I want to bring that up because I know some of the folks who are listening were privy to a conversation that I was a part of recently, where an Amazon expert was saying, if you run Amazon ads, which I recommend that you do, it's basically going to eat up all of your profits for the first, maybe few months of being on Amazon. And I was like, whoa, okay, like so kind of help me understand that and talk about, ads, whatever you can share with us about that.
Yeah, well, that individual they were not wrong. You definitely can spend some money very quickly on Amazon. So most of the ads that you run on Amazon are pay per click. So again, like our shampoo, like if you want to get your ad to pop up when someone searches like women's shampoo, like that could easily be a $5 or $6 click. So
Okay.
you're going to run through a budget very, very quickly. Now, if you want to get the way to have success on Amazon ads is to get very, very niche with your keywords. So like women's shampoo that's all natural tea tree oil, like
Right.
maybe that no one's spending on that keyword. So you can get that for a very, very cheap cost of conversion. Um, I would think the best situation on Amazon is as you're getting started, like you either want to do it one of two ways. You want to run a ton of ads or you want to run no ads and
Okay.
see if you can get just like some generic traffic that comes in. Or if you already have a follower base, like try to pull some of your followers over and get that spark lit on Amazon. So if I have like a big email list, maybe I send out like, hey, we're available now on Amazon, check us out. So then if you start to get some people go, oh, sweet, they're on Amazon now. Again, now you're pulling your website customers over to your Amazon, but at the start point, it might be strategic so that you can get some people buying, get some reviews, get a little bit of traction on the platform so that your product might start to pop up in an organic method. I mean, that's always a good thing to do at the beginning because if it's a fire, you got to put something on there that's going to spark it and get it going. If you don't put any sparks in there, it's just not going to go. So that ad, individual that was speaking, they're saying like, hey, we need to throw those sparks on from Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
That is one way of doing it. It's not the only way of doing it. Another thing we really love to do is to drive traffic from Facebook. I mean, Facebook traffic is going to be much, much cheaper. It's a little bit harder to track your conversions. If the person's already on Amazon, you can track conversions really, really easily. But if they're coming from Facebook, you lose a little bit of that connection to see what happened.
Gotcha.
But you can always see, hey, I drove 1,000 eyes. We had a lot of people that were looking at this ad. Now we're selling a lot on Amazon. You can kind of put two and two together. But ads are not an imperative of what you're doing on the platform. And now for us, we've gotten kind of, knowledgeable enough that we're looking for products that are needed on the platform that maybe aren't being totally exploited. So instead of saying like, oh, I want to be the number one selling women's shampoo, which is going to be like insanely difficult, we just say like, hey, that category is way too big. We're going to try to nail down and get very specific with the category we're trying to hit. So we want, all natural tea tree oil shampoo. That's something that could win with us. The cost of keywords would be a lot lower. The market's probably a lot smaller, so you're not trying to compete with Tresemme and L'Oreal and big brands who are like, we don't care about spending $5 a click. That's fine for us. We just want to
Right.
stay up at the top. That's kind of what I have seen over the last couple of years has had a lot of success, is if you can be kind of precise with how you're marketing and creating products.
And so if you have a unique brand that's, it's inherently, finding it is going to require those unique or not broadly used keywords, that works to your advantage
Absolutely.
on the space. So that's interesting to think about. I never really thought about that your product matters. And if you're entering into the Amazon marketplace and you've got something that's offered across the board and sort of a common product, that's quite different than entering with, I'm thinking of a brand right off the top of my head, that it doesn't exist anywhere else. It's a one of a kind product. And so that type of a product, so long as people know about it, and you can kind of figure out what keywords will get them there, there's probably a good opportunity for that brand on Amazon. Is that fair?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think about Amazon searches as two ways of thinking about it. I either think about it as question and answer. Here's my question. My question is, all natural tea tree oil. And then Amazon's populating you with all of the answers that they have. Now they're trying to find you the best answer. So what's the best answer? Well, this one has a lot of rankings, a lot of reviews. It's got a decent price point that we know because we're comparing it to the other prices of the other products. It's got positive feedback. It's got, people are clicking this and people are converting. So Amazon says this is the best answer to your question. Or I think of it as problem solution. I have a problem. I need tea tree oil shampoo. What's the solution? Solution is all of these 30 or 50 brands. So if you have the best solution in the marketplace, like eventually that should rise to the top on Amazon, but you still got to give it that little spark.
Yeah.
If you give it that spark, it starts to go.
And going back to the beginning of our conversation, it's going to take some time from you or your team member or someone that you hire, right, to get this going and to manage it. You have to pay attention to it. It's not something that's just going to run on its own. But to wrap up the Amazon, the pay-per-click ads, this is something too that you can do your research and figure out, okay, these keywords are going to cost me X number of dollars per click. So you can still utilize the platform to gain some information and then make an informed decision about if you're going to do ads, what that budget needs to look like and what that spend theoretically might be in a week or a month. So I'm all about planning and knowing sort of what you're getting into before you get into it. So I want to be very clear with people that you can kind of figure it out and do some planning beforehand.
Yeah, and you can always set like max campaign budgets in Amazon. So if you're like, hey, I don't want to spend more than $10 a day on ads, you can just say cut off right at $10. So you're guaranteed to spend about $300 a month on Amazon.
Yeah.
And then you can just go and assess your results. Like, am I selling enough? Does it feel like it's making an impact on my business? No? Okay, I can crank these up a little bit higher. I can go a little bit more aggressive with some of the keywords that I want. Or, hey, this is great. We're starting to get some traction. We'll just keep it rocking and rolling at this level.
Yeah. And eventually your ad costs are not going to equal your revenue or your profits, and things will start trending, toward profitability, which is exciting.
Yeah.
On the topic of profitability, I think, thinking about the equation that you laid out for us, and I know a lot of people are waiting to hear us talk about this. Is there a benchmark or something that business owners should be striving for when it comes to a profit margin on Amazon for their business?
So I'm going to give you two answers.
Okay.
The first is what our business does.
Okay.
So our business is a little unique because we buy the product from companies and then we go and we resell it. So already you've got an additional set of hands involved in the transaction. But our number is 22%.
Okay.
So we want to hit 22% margin. We have some products that are above that, 25, 26, those are gold. We have some products that are below it, 17, 18. Those aren't as great, but we move, volume of those kind of products. So 22% is just what seems to work for us. Now we have probably a different business than a lot of folks. We're a volume type business. We'll do about 1 million transactions this year on Amazon. A couple thousand on websites and but almost exclusively, it's like 98% are on Amazon. So we're a high volume business, and we can eat some of those costs that are associated with running our business and stretch them out through all of those transactions. The second thing I would say about a margin is it totally depends, right? But it depends on how unique your product is on the marketplace. So, like, if I'm going to use the situation that I'm a bulk almond grower and I want to have success on the marketplace. The interesting thing about Amazon is that you're not in your own retail store or your website anymore where you can curate what the prices are going to be like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't compare you if you're walking into my store and I say, well, these are our best almonds, these are our good almonds, these are our low grade almonds. So then your mind is just comparing what you're seeing right now. It's not like that on Amazon. You're comparing every almond grower in the United States, right? So like the competition is just so steep that nobody's making 30% margin in the almond growing world, right? Like they're probably all making like 4 or 5 points, and that's pretty good for them.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was just trying to get into the almond bulk world, I would not even be able to do that because I'm already too many middlemen away. So
Right.
like I would look at prices and be like, oh my gosh, they're, $9 for 2 pounds. My supplier is selling them to me for 7 or 8. And it's like that's before I ship it or any referral fee. It's just not even possible. So if you're on a commodity type business, you have to understand you're competing against every other commodity type business in the United States or maybe even the world.
Right.
And it's like, well, how do we have an advantage in this world? If you don't, it's going to be really difficult to do it at all or really difficult to do it at any sort of scale. Then you could go all the way to the other side of the coin and say, like, I have a very unique product. Like, I own the IP on it, the intellectual property. Nobody else can create anything like this. I've created my brand story so people understand that I have a lot of value around my brand. I can charge a premium and I can make 40% margin on my product or maybe even more than that. The kind of golden goose products on Amazon are small, light, expensive, right? So we want microchips. I mean, that's like what is the best case scenario on Amazon. But there's a lot of products that are in the beauty world that do really well with that. There's a decent amount of supplements that do really well with that, and food can be, but again, food is at some level a commodity, right? Like you're not going to pay $100 for snacks. You're just not going to do it. So if your product's really unique, you can get that larger margin, that 30, 40, 50. If your product's not unique at all, you're looking at single digit margin. We have kind of a mixture of that, so we're somewhere right in between. But you're also going to blend that margin out with your website and with your retail. So maybe you can make your best margin on your website, a little bit worse on Amazon.com, and then you make maybe your worst margin wholesaling to retail. So you're going to kind of have a mixture of those three things. But for me, I would find it not that beneficial to be doing a channel if I'm not making like 10 to 15%. Like I would think that unless I can just not even touch it, not even worry about it, it just operates on its own, 10 to 15% seems very difficult to maintain for me.
Yeah.
Because you can't hire an employee at 10% unless your volume's insanely high. Like if you're doing $10 million a year, but you're making 10%, it's like,
Sure.
I'm only making $1 million, and that's not really enough to sustain a whole department.
Yeah.
Which you will eventually need a department to manage Amazon if the business scales like you want it to. So 22% for us works, and then it's kind of across the board of what works for our vendors.
Yeah. And I think, we met each other because, we just sort of connected on a totally different topic, which I think is really interesting. We connected on food sourcing, and then we sort of learned a little bit more about what each other's companies do. And Mixt Solutions is I kind of think of you as a distributor for the channel that is Amazon. And for business owners who do want to have a presence on Amazon, who believe that they can be successful, but don't have the capability, right? They're a single, right? Like a solo entrepreneur, or it's like them and a partner, and they're both just doing everything. Maybe they have like one or two team members. There isn't the margin in the business yet to devote a team member entirely to Amazon, or even part of a team member's time to Amazon, and they certainly can't take it on. I think the service that your business provides is a great solution, because they can, and correct me if I'm getting any part of this wrong, but they can sell their product to you just like they do to a distributor in, in the wholesale channel, right? That brick and mortar retail channel. They sell it to you for a price. They collect that money from you, and then you do the rest of the work to sell on Amazon, and you keep the profits that you make from all the work you've done to sell the product on Amazon. So they're making the sale, and you're able to be the expert who gets that product out there. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that was very well articulated. Yeah, and we're kind of a distributor, we're kind of a third-party logistics partner, we're kind of a marketing agency. We're a
Yeah.
little bit of all those things rolled into one.
Yeah.
And we've been fortunate. We've got, about 20 really good brands now at this point in time. Um, some brands have been with us going on year 4 and 5. So we have some long-term partners. That's always what we're looking for. But we're in a good position now that we don't partner with every brand. I tell people right off the get, first call is like, hey, I can't build your brand for you. Like
Right.
I'm going to be a tool that you can utilize for your online strategy. But at the end of the day, we can't do it for you.
Yeah.
So it's always a partnership for us, like figuring out what works with a brand, what they want to accomplish, and how we can help them do that.
Yeah. I think it's a great service that you offer. And like full disclosure, I wasn't aware that businesses like yours existed until we spoke. And I was just fascinated by the idea. And I think that it's such an opportunity for many business owners to find a partner like you, just to kind of take that burden away from them, and still allow them to have a presence on Amazon. Because something that you mentioned in our first conversation, and I'm going to get this wrong, I'm totally paraphrasing this, but you were like, if you don't put your product on Amazon, somebody else might. And so
Yeah.
can you just expand on that a little bit, that idea that kind of anybody can put your product on Amazon? That's a little surprising to me. I wasn't aware of that.
Yes. So Amazon is, I think the way that they want to view themselves is the ultimate open free market,
Mm,
right? So they want the customer. They're all about the customer. We all know that. That's the big pitch in Amazon's platform, is that it's all about the customer. It's customer centric. So they want the customer to get the lowest possible cost. They want the customer to find the best solution to their
mhm,
problem. That's what they're constantly trying to curate for their individuals that are on the platform. So, like, let's say I'm selling into Costco. Like, I just got this Costco deal. This is great. Costco is going to place a huge purchase order from me. I don't want to be on Amazon. That's not what I'm worried about right now. I sell to Costco. 3 weeks later, my products are on Amazon. What just happened? Well,
right.
what happened was someone walked into Costco. They went, man, this isn't on Amazon yet, but clearly a lot of people are walking by it every day. It's right here in the aisle. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to throw it onto the platform. So that is shocking to a lot of people, that anyone can sell anything on Amazon, with some small caveats. Like big brands get a little bit more
Mm,
trademark protection, like Nike and Adidas. But generally, anyone can sell anything on Amazon, because Amazon wants the cheapest price and the best products to rise to the top, because it's
yeah.
just competition for them.
Yeah.
So if you don't list it on Amazon, someone else might, but they don't have any connection to your product or your brand. So how do you know that's going to look good? How do you know that they're going to service the customer the right way? How do you know that the listings are good, the descriptions are good? You really don't. And if your product gets big enough, it is just guaranteed to happen. So
Interesting.
if you don't control it, once the cat gets out of the bag, that may make life a lot harder on you.
Yeah. And I don't bring that up to scare anybody into selling on Amazon right away for fear that somebody else might do it or anything like that. But I think it's an interesting thing to know, and to know that it is a reality. And we work with so many amazing brands that are, growing in popularity. I wanted to be, sure to add that to the conversation. So, gosh, I feel like I could talk to you for forever. There are so many Amazon questions, but if anybody listening wants to learn more about Mixt Solutions, or, just the business, or, I don't know if you've got some resources and things on your website, where can they learn more and kind of follow you and your business?
Yeah, so we've kind of operated in the shadows for the last handful of years. We're sort of like, the underground arm of a lot of these brands that maybe you've seen before. But mixsolutions.com, Twitter at Mixt Solutions, LinkedIn /Mixt Solutions. I'm really easy to find, Alex at mixsolutions.com. So if anybody, hears this and they go, wait a minute, slow down, explain that to me one more time, just give us a buzz. We're not too picky with giving out information. We want everybody to have success on the platform. Because generally what ends up happening is people go, I can do this myself. And they get on and they go, you were right, Alex. This is really hard. This is a lot of work. Let's circle back and maybe you guys can help us out. So that happens quite often for us.
Yeah. And we're going to link to all of those resources in the show notes. And in case you're not going to look at the show notes, Mixt is spelled Mixt in this case. So I want to be sure to spell that out for you guys. Well, thank you so much. I think this is going to be a really helpful episode for a lot of people. I know I learned a lot just by speaking with you today, and things become a lot clearer and a lot less scary to approach in terms of thinking about selling on Amazon. So thank you so much for that.
Yep, absolutely. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. Thank you again. Have a great day. If you're unsure about your business's profitability on Amazon or other online platforms, I encourage you to join me and other food and beverage business owners in the Financial Success Formula online program. There, I help you ensure you're gathering the right data to maximize your online profitability. You can learn more at thegoodfoodcfo.com or click on the link in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Have a good one.